Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS. Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, iRacers, and welcome to Apex Racing TV and a special event here from the
some of the best racing we see on the entire platform, and we are hoping that today is no different. We've got 60 drivers set up for this championship. We've got the fantastic elimination heat format, which means we'll have 4 races tonight, and yeah, we should be in for some very entertaining racing.
Yeah, we've come to expect it pretty much, not just every single season that we've run these Porsche Cups here on Apex Racing TV. It's just every single race. It never ceases to disappoint, even when, you know, as the season grows long and the numbers start to dwindle a little bit, and even when we head to some lesser known, maybe a little bit, you know, iffy tracks, we still get some absolutely amazing racing. But luckily here today at Road Atlanta, one of the fan favorites, I believe, on iRacing, and especially in the Porsche Cup, this thing gets used fairly often. These drivers should be well accustomed to this car and track combination, and especially with one of the most stacked entry lists I think I've seen in this series in a long time. We've got about over 50 drivers who are currently in the session right now, so all 4 races that we've got for you tonight are going to be absolutely amazing. No matter what they're fighting for, whether it's first or last, it should be some damn good fun.
It should be a lot of fun out there tonight. We are currently in the latter stages of qualifying. Currently it is Dalton Zavadil who is at the front of the standings, who was at the front of the standings as well, it should be said, in practice as well. So he has established himself as the man to beat. Tony Despadakis in second position, Philip Howard, former champion, in third, and many other drivers who we are not familiar with up at the top of the standings. Really great to see so many new drivers entering this series for this championship. And touching on your words about Red Atlanta, I think this is almost like a fantastic, almost like a classic car track combination, honestly. And this is a super racy circuit and a super racy car.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those car and track combinations that is just kind of a staple on iRacing. And literally every single season, I think we do come to Road Atlanta in the official series at some point. And even in other games that have started to, you know, add their own tracks and add their own cars. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Rennsport. You know, even they, when they added Road Atlanta, I think some people gave the Porsche Cup a go on that as well. And it is just, like you said, one of those just car and track combinations that you can't really break away from. It's just embedded in the minds of sim racers. And, well, when the car is so popular and so fun to drive and, well, so fun to race as this one, it's unsurprising that Road Atlanta, which is one of the most fan favorite tracks anyway without this car, has become one of the favorites in this car as well. Me personally, I'm a bit neutral when it comes to Road Atlanta. I do think it's a tad overrated, but I don't think it's, you know, it's bad. It's not a bad circuit, because that would be something stupid to say. But I think it's all right, but you know, sometimes my opinions do offend some, so I think that's all I'll touch on the matter.
Well, Diogo Farrier, I'm going to have to get used to that, because we have had the other Farrier racing a lot in the past. He's gone a little bit wide through the S's, so not having a big fan of this circuit either, it seems, the Portuguese. And we'll get a replay as well of his onboard from the shoulder cam, exactly how he went wide. And this is one of the most common mistakes we will see around this circuit. And just running a little bit too wide, getting over the curb and launching almost all the way to the wall.
It's so easy to make that S section, especially in these cars, which you're relying mostly on the mechanical grip than anything else. These cars really don't have that much aerodynamics. I mean, sure, they have more than you or I in terms of road cars, but in terms of racing cars, these things don't got all that much. They've got a big rear wing, and that's kind of it. They've got some other bits and bobs here and there, but they can't go around corners as quickly as you think. And, well, if you've driven this car, you probably already know that, as, well, there's Farrier once again going through the blind uphill crest of turns 2 and 3 and finding it quite difficult, as Lazarus ended up on pole there by 7,000. That was a sneaky time there near the end.
Yeah, they really improved a lot in the latter stages because we only had the pros going out on track near the end of that session. It was the abs, then the prams, then the pros. So yeah, Lazarus improving late on and managing to take pole position. That means that he will be in the race 1 grid as well, because we split the field in half. All the odd place drivers go into heat 1, all the even place drivers go into heat 2. And so our grid for heat 1 of the evening is Corey Lazarus on pole position. Then it is Tony Despotakis, the Greek driver, I believe, making his debut in the series, in second. Then it's Pascal Costa, a several-time race winner in the past, in third. Hayden Bramley, new driver, in fourth. So too Mars Hemming. Gordon Marshall's top of the Pro-Ams, that's indicated by the green stripe next to his position. Then it's Ben Pedersen, a little bit further down than he would like, former AM champion in the series. Diogo Faria in 8th. Nicholas Nolder, big surprise to see him that far down. Expected to see him gaining many places. Then it's Carl Felvis in 10th place. Misha Berger in 11th. Michael Velasquez in 12th. And then behind him we got Andrea Del Piccolo, Mats Strand, Nico Borman, Dominic Singendonk, Helder Kaserka and Stephen Hobbs. Dudley Ruddock in 12th, in 19th place, sorry. Then it's Tommy Vadal, Frederick Thorsten, Marcus Andresen, Matteo Jacinto and Glenn Humberston in 24th. And then the final row is Ruben Iglesias and Alistair Hatcher.
Well, I mean, fair play to your sets of lungs there, getting through 26 pairs of drivers, most of which you've never seen before. So pat on the back there, Sam.
Thank you. Here we go then. The 5 lights are on and the season is about to get underway. We've got a little bit of a move. I think it's Matt Strands in the background. He might be getting a jump start, but our pole sitter is absolutely fine heading into turn 1, being able to take the normal racing line, it looks like. In fact, the top 8 are all in the exact same order as they started. A little bit of movement with Bramley trying to get ahead of Costa. Costa will try to hold on, but he loses out. So Bramley up into the top 3. That is a very good start for him. Top 12 go through straight into the A final. And so those top places still the same as they started.
Well, I know it's the first round of the season, but even in as early as the championship as this, as everyone launching themselves over the curve at turn 5, and seemingly most of the drivers making it through very, very cleanly there. But even in the early stages of a season as this, even in the first race, the first round, you've got to be thinking about the extended life of your championship and kind of where you think you're going to be. And a driver like Lazarus, who might fancy his chances this season, who's definitely shown improvements over the last few seasons, and that's always the good thing you like to see as a commentator. It's just these drivers slowly getting better and better over time, and it just provides some amazing racing. And oh, dearie me, that is Hayden Bramley, who I suspect has had some kind of hardware failure, as well. He just did not brake there for turn 10 at all, and well, either he got really badly distracted, or, well, I mean, his brake pedal probably fell off. He needs to be careful if that is the case, and I can imagine he's probably got quite a hefty slowdown. And by the way, at the start, you were absolutely right. It was Matt Strand who jumped the starts, and he's going to have to serve a black flag as he comes in now.
Yeah, that was bad news for him. So I think Bramley's probably just gone for this move, realised, hang on, if I brake, I'm going to hit the leader. So just had to floor it through. And amazingly, I didn't know, he bailed out of that very early, didn't he? But
yeah.
I think that was the logic, because he actually got back on the throttle. It wasn't just that he wasn't braking, he was getting back on the throttle. So he didn't lose a place for it. He stayed third. Really a very weak slowdown.
Yeah, very lucky, since, well, my experience with slowdowns anyway, iRacing don't tend to be too lenient on them. It's kind of one way or the other. You kind of get a slowdown that doesn't affect you at all, or you get a slowdown that completely spoils your race. And luckily this time Hayden has managed to get away with it. But that's what I'm talking about. Even he, possibly thinking about safety and the long terms of this championship, he had a slight doubt in his mind that that move wasn't going to work, and thought, nope, I'm not going to risk this. I'm just going to go over the grass, play it safe. And so, well, it paid out for him as he's still in third, trying to attack Despasikas for second place, and it seems to have worked out beautifully for him. as well. The Greek driver now has lost another place to Costa and has fallen all the way down to 4th in the space of just a few corners. Perhaps getting a bit caught out by Bramley's move into the first corner, having to check up, and fell into the clutches of Pascal Costa. And, well, it's just allowing the two drivers in front of him to romp away. As look at that, a 1 second gap already, just within 5 corners.
Yeah, really made a breakthrough. I can only imagine Despotakis went wide at T1 and yeah, really compromised his run against the other driver. So Bramley chasing down the race leader Corey Lazarus, and this is a driver who we are not familiar with, Hayden Bramley. 4.4k rating, but fairly new to us, part of the Almeida Racing Academy, and driving very impressively at the moment, and a driver who we weren't quite sure how competitive he'd be. Looks very strong for potentially a race win tonight. Nicholas Norda is still in the pack, down in 9th place. That is not where he'd expect one of the championship favourites. Won many races, nearly won the title a few seasons ago, but finds himself crucially in the top 12. The top 12 goes straight through to the A final. The rest will have to battle it out in the B final, and then the top 6 from the B final also go through to the A final.
You just need to get into that A final every single round, and that's kind of the minimum as a pro driver. The pro-ams and especially the AMs definitely at least have somewhat of an excuse, but as a pro, you have to be consistently getting into that A final if you want to stand any chance of winning that championship. And, well, like I said, in the AMs, if you do get into the A final, it's almost a gift. You're just going to get a huge chunk of points in that round, as currently we only have one AM driver inside that top 12. It's getting awfully close here at the back between Vidal and Velvus for 17th place, as they look to make their progress a little bit more up towards the front of the field. But I can see that 12th place spot hotting up. I mean, Sam, if you look at the gaps, it's 11th upwards. They're kind of in their own little world. And then, well, Sakara is, well, just holding up a train, you'd say.
Yeah, it's an incredible gap that has really formed, isn't it? Absolutely, yeah, massive gap between 11th and 12th, and that position is so crucial. Looks like Velasquez has got past Singendonk as well for 13th place. Borman as well is involved. That Borman actually dropped a few places a few laps ago, but he seemingly is getting them back again. He's up 2 places now from his race start. Although Singendonk is coming back at him, this is going to lose him a lot of time. They make contact, and straight through the pair of them goes Velasquez. He's up into 13th place, and they're still going to keep batting down the hill. Borman again losing places, and any hopes that he had of getting into the top 12 in this race seem very dashed now, because there are not many laps to go. A super short 10-minute heat to start this evening of racing.
It genuinely goes by in an absolute flash, as Bramley seems to now have been overtaken by Pascal Costa for 2nd place. As, well, he was looking absolutely rapid for those first couple laps that he was into that 2nd place spot, but seemingly over the last lap has maybe gone off the way. Oh, he's done it again. Is Hayden Bramley being a bit too cautious here? And, he's choosing to go into the pits, weirdly. Wonder if he's picked up some kind of damage, or maybe
he didn't serve the slowdown enough earlier on, perhaps.
I mean, I'm looking, it doesn't seem to be a black flag for him, so I don't know. I honestly am a little bit bemused by that one, if I'm going to be honest.
Perhaps underfueled, perhaps put the quali set on. Could be a potential. Let's see what happened here. So that wasn't deliberate at all. Like, he outbroke himself again and had to take evasive action. Yeah, so he will start very near the back now for the B final.
Yeah, and, well, that's definitely going to sting, as he, like we were mentioning, just looks so quick in those, sequence between about lap 2, lap 3, all the way up until about lap 5. And it's just all gone wrong for him in the span of a few corners. And it's just such a shame. And that's how quickly things can turn around for you in sim racing. It really can. It can go absolutely swimmingly, sunshine and rainbows, and then it can just go in a matter of moments. You just got to be on your toes constantly as a Piccololo and Berger going side by side all the way through this final sector. And Andrea just about getting ahead into 9th place, ahead of the Swiss driver, putting himself into 2nd in the Pro-Am class as well. Marshall is about 3 seconds up the road. So this is kind of just going to be a ding-dong for those final 2 spots on the podium between these two. So that should be a damn good battle for 9th and 10th. The drivers further behind, Sakura and Velasquez, have definitely fallen on the wayside. They've got about 5 seconds between themselves and Berger. And Velasquez is going to have to be careful. He's got a big train of cars on his back bum. And, I mean, that is an agonizing feeling sitting in 12th, knowing that at any moment a driver could lunge it up the inside. And especially when we're so close to the end.
Yeah, Velvus looks a fair bit quicker. He was 4/10 faster on the last lap, was Carl Velvus. Actually started in the top 10, but fell back. I think he may have gone straight on at this chicane on lap 1 and dropped to about 20th place, I believe. But he's come back really well, and this would be the final spot that he needs, as they've got just over a lap to go, and he's going to get that one done. Smart there from Velasquez, not to fight that one too hard. That will still be pole position for the B final, which will give him the best chance in that race to get through into the A final. So it was not worth risking everything to hold on to that place. You see the white flag being waved, and unless there's a mistake for one of the top 12, that should be about sorted in those places.
Honestly, drivers might finally start to listen to me. Oh no, I've jinxed it. As Jacinto there spinning backwards into turns 2 and 3, and he's got to be careful rejoining. Luckily spins onto the grass, so should clear a pathway for everyone else. Got to be careful of Hayden joining back onto the track. Let's see what happened. Is this Bauman again?
Yeah.
Being involved in another incident, and
yeah, that was neat as well.
Yeah, that was just sticking your nose where it didn't belong, especially an uphill blind corner. It's just something you don't really do, and I can imagine possibly a penalty might be coming his way in the future. But someone who will be having the exact opposite of a penalty, not a black flag, he's taking the checkered flag. It's Corey Lazarus taking the first win of the season here in Heat 1 at Road Atlanta. And you gotta say, hats off to the man. He's been improving season after season. And, well, that's an opening statement if I've ever seen one.
Very, very impressive performance there from him. Good performance as well from Costa and Despotakis. They were sort of around the craziness of Hayden Bramley, who was really making the moves up through the order, but he fell by the wayside. We also had Stephen Hobbs fall by the wayside on the last lap. I wonder even if Hobbs has maybe run out of fuel, because he is going very slowly at the end of the race, but he actually came into the pits on the last lap to Stephen Hobbs. He will finish in 26th place. The top 12 will go straight through into the A final. The other drivers will go into the B final, which, yeah, will give them their last opportunity at getting into the all-important final race of the evening. But let's go straight to the grid then for race 2 of the evening. And once again, it's the top 12 who progress into the A final from this race. It's Dalton Zavadil on pole. Then it is Philip Hammer, Miroslav Saboda in 3rd. And a very impressive time there for the Pro-Am driver. Igor Kos in 4th. Then it's Dimbalot, Warren, Porte, Ruiz, Godestad, Hapacha, Lane, Andrews, Bjorkland, Bernier, Woods, Crawford, Parker, Kokok, Verm, and then all the AMs are at the back of the field. We've got Burazeg, Grieveson, Michaud, Clays, Edwards, Stoll, and Walsh in 25th.
I do really hope that this race can have a little bit more action up at the front. And I kind of have the feeling, well, I don't know, I feel like the front 3 in this are going to go tumbling towards that first corner.
Yeah, let's see if Dalton can hold on Lazarus was able to do so from pole position, and it looks like the American's going to do so as well. So good start for Sabota. Might be able to get underneath Philip Hammer going into turn 1, but Hammer going to carry as much speed as he possibly can, and he holds on to P2.
Oh,
and there's
no.
a spin between both of
That's
them,
a big one.
and drivers go left and right. We must have 7 drivers or so involved in this incident. Many of them are the pro drivers as well. Dimblo, Godestad, Koss, Warren and Hapacha all look like they're going to get through in the top 12. None of them will do now.
Oh,
I've got another
it's
one off.
getting
It's Ben
worse. Yep, that's Ben Woods going straight into the barriers at the S's section into turn 4.
Oh, we got Borseg as well, I think may have had an incident.
Oh dear,
Just a
well
tire
this...
screen.
Yeah, and you can see there in the background, it kind of already started as we went across the start-finish line. Then as we head into turn 1, that mid-pack you see up at the front, they all just got far too close to one another for cold tyres, cold brains. There was another car there, I believe that's Dimbolo, spinning round at the first corner. And then as we head through the S section, everyone's still trying to recover from checking up, and then just a slight tap for Ben Woods, slamming into the wall. And I can imagine that's a lot of damage for him, and well, he's continuing, fair play to him, but I think that's going to be major suspension damage for him in his Porsche Cup car. But yeah, wow, I mean, I was wrong about it being the top 3, but I was close. And well, we've got a lot of pro drivers who need to make a lot of ground very, 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 very quickly in not that much time.
Yeah, I was ruling any of them getting through. Maybe they could still do it. I could maybe see Goldstad still making his way through. He's got 8 places to gain. But these heats are very, very short. There's really not much time to recover. So it's spread out these top positions. Lane's gained 5 places. Ruiz up 5. Bernie up 6 after a poor qualifying. Grieveson started 20th. He's up to 11th. And looks like he could be one of the few AMs who gets straight through into the A final. Got Godestad still making his way through against Burzeg, who I think had a spin as well, like I said, on lap 1 for Sim Republic esports team. And yeah, these pros are just going to be dicing their way through and trying to get as far as they possibly can. You can see a little bit of damage as well on Joseph Dimbolo's nose.
Absolutely crazy stuff that some of our pro drivers are already going to be taking one of their drop rounds in the first round of the season. But oftentimes that's how it goes, you know, trying to get a feel for the drivers around you, a feel for the series, trying to get back into the groove of things. And you know, sometimes these round 1s just don't go your way. And well, for half of our pro field, actually more than half, in this second heat race, it really hasn't gone to plan, and they really have to get their foot flat to the floor as quickly as they can. Godosad, Dimbolo, Warren, Koss and Hapasha all need to basically set lap records to be able to make the progress that they need to. I think Godosad and Dimbolo have a decent chance of getting into that top 12, but they need to be making moves aggressively and kind of now if they want any chance. They cannot afford to be held up for 1 or 2 corners, because it will cost you, you know, half a second, a second, as Jay Walsh seems to have been bullied off of the track. And well, you got to be aggressive about those moves, but of course you still have to be respectful to your drivers around you. So potentially we might be able to see what happened to Jay Walsh, but I feel like I can already.
Yeah, here we go. This is what happened to him. We just caught the start of this. I think this may have actually been by himself, because there was no one that close to him before.
Oh, no, yeah.
And yeah, it was just by himself on the curb, and he bounces off the wall, but should be able to continue on in this race without having to take his faster pair. The drivers do get 1 faster pair, but he went up so far behind that it's not usually much use. And yeah, he lost already the rear end early on, then overheats the tyres, and he's got no grip to deploy the power on corner exits.
No, not at all. And well, the awkward thing about spins like that is he actually caught it, and I'm pretty sure most of you saw that. He caught that first slide, but then for some reason decided to plant the throttle again as soon as he caught it, and then it just put him into another spin. And unfortunately then he hit the outside wall there on the exit of turn 5, and has given himself and Porsche and his team quite an expensive repair bill when he gets back to the pit lane, as that is Dimbolo going around the outside of Stoll there in turn 6, getting a little bit wriggly on the exit, but just about manages to keep the car pointing in the right direction. And this is what I mean. I feel like Goddard and Dimbolo are kind of going to drag each other along. And when one driver goes for a dive bomb, i.e. Goddard, Dimbolo will try and follow through. And, well, let's see if that happens over the next few corners, as Goddard is looking right on the rear wing of Clay's for 16th. And, well, is probably, like most of us racing drivers, getting a bit impatient.
Yes, yeah, he probably is at this point, but yeah, they're making decent progress. By the way, Augustin Bernie managed to move up into 6th position. He managed to get past Andrews, as alongside there, Goddard will get past Clays. And Dimbolo, Clays is coming back though, and he will probably lose out on the right-hander here. And if anything, this might not be the wisest battle for Clays to be fighting. And they are losing a lot of time. Clays will go back up the inside. There's contact, and Dimbolo will go through. And Goddard will be furious with that one. He will argue that it wasn't a battle worth Clay's fighting because he was going to get past eventually anyway. Obviously, the counter argument is that they are both in the same race, both fighting for the same points, both fighting for the same spots in the A final. As there goes again Goddard on the inside of Kos. And yeah, they'll keep on fighting. Still Clay's is in 16th place.
Yes, somehow the Belgium driver has managed to keep all of those pros behind him. But what he's unfortunately done is annoy all of them, unfortunately. I think Dimbolo might actually be okay with it. But Kos and Goddard clearly getting a little bit hot under the collar, seeing a bit of red mist. And look how close all of them are now as we head onto lap 6. 7 minutes gone in this race. They all need to be super careful. Can't afford any contact. They're going 3 wide nearly as we head across the start-finish straight. Into turn 1 we go. Dimbolo still managing to stay in 17th place.
Look at that.
There is a car off of the side of the road. We cannot seem to catch a break here today. And now it's a battle for 14th place, which makes the pros drivers behind even more interesting. And again, more contact up at the top. You saw in the background of your screens, that was a car reversing into the barriers. And look at the run that Igor Kos has on Dimbolo and Clays. And, well, there might be some words said about Clays after the race, but you know what? He's allowed to do this, and it's damn well entertaining. So fair play to the Belgium driver. He's keeping these guys behind at bay. I don't know if he has an agenda against these guys, but I mean, look at the amount of time that he's cost these guys. It's 7 seconds to worm ahead now, as Dimbolo once again gaining in the slipstream. And also Igor Kos, they're going 3 wide once again, heading down the back straight into turn 10. I would be very surprised if this ends cleanly. And there's a bit of contact between Dimbolo and Igor Kos, and more contact between Clays, and Igor Kos is sent round into the pit lane. And unfortunately, I think most of us could see that coming from about a lap ago.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a cheap foul in the end to give away, because the battle from Clays was sort of lost already at that point. Clays now loses out to Goddard as well. I think Stoll may have just spun off at turn 1. The drivers that we saw stationary on the side of the circuit were Mishaw and Woods, I believe. And here, sorry, it was Mishaw and Edwards. And yeah, they would just rejoin the circuit, and they all scattered past them. And this is the replay of how they got involved. I don't think these guys were in the top 12, but yeah, they were just in the pack ahead. I think they were 14th, 15th. There was the contact, but they didn't fall that far away from the circuit. Well, at least they got back on the circuit quite quick and did not take much notice of the other drivers, but at least they stayed slightly to the side.
Well, only just about. They were very lucky that all the other drivers were on their toes and no one went a little bit wide into turn 1. Otherwise, that could have been even more catastrophic than it ended up being. As Borozeg looking at the back of Clays now, who of course has had his fair share of surprises already in this race. It's Goddard and Dimbolo battling further up the road, and those guys are basically just fighting for that grid spot in the B final at this point, because I mean, as quick as they are not catching Worm. Even if they had 5 laps remaining, I don't think they'd be able to do it. It's just too big of a gap now. And you have Clay just to thank for doing that. Gottestad, Dimbolo and Warren. And of course, Igor Kos not going to be happy about that either. He will be starting last in the B final. So if anyone has work to do, it's going to be him. And well, it's easier to get through in these heat races than it is in the B final. So we'll see what Igor Kos can do.
Yeah, he will be starting from last in the B final, but starting from second place for the A final and winning the second heat of the evening is Dalton Zavadil for Fiercely Ford. A nice way to start his season. He beats Philip Hammer, who was close all the way but never really came close to an overtake. Pretty close between Andrews and Bjorkland across the line, but Andrews holds on, and again it will be those top 12 who go through into the A final. Parker, the final one to pick a spot. Firm misses out but will be on the front row, but we will have 5 pro drivers. Only 3 of the 8 pro drivers got through after an incident at turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, that is the big shocker, isn't it, of the second heat. And we've already had a big incident between some of our pros, and I mean, they've all got a job to do in that B final. And well, Bernier, Hammer and Zavadil can just sit back and relax, kick up a chair, grab a beer or something, and they can feel proud with themselves that, well, they didn't crash.
Yes, and now we've got our so far tonight our biggest grid of the evening. 27 cars for this B final, and it is Velasquez on pole position. Then it's Firm, Sing and Donk, Gottestad, Borman, Dimbolo, Vadal, Warren, Humberston, and Clays. I'll let the rest of the names cycle through, but it is a salad of colours out there. We've got reds and whites and greens scattered around. And it's really tricky to tell who will get through. Only the top 6 will progress from this B final.
Yeah, I just took a brief time to have a look in the chat, and well, all I'm going to say is there is some ever so slight beef going on. Drivers, especially the pro drivers we were talking about, are very, very angry.
So here we go. Velasquez from pole position. Can he hold on, as the other pole sitters have so far tonight? It's not a good start for him, and Thomas Firm will immediately take the lead. Good start as well for Gottestad. He's storming straight through the middle. Could he? How aggressive will he be into turn 1? He's got 14 minutes to take the lead, and for now he's just going to move into second position. It looks like Dimbolo as well with a nice start. Poor start for Sing and Donk. He's gone from 3rd down to 7th already, as Gottestad confirms that second spot. There's a spinner further back, and I think it's Igor Kos maybe losing out. Humberston as well losing out as Kos tries to gain places. He might be wiped out. We've got a car spun in the middle of the circuit, and that's Hobbs, and Thorson also getting involved.
Yep, and that's once again another incident through these S's on this first lap. It's such a difficult section to go side by side in, and you need the full cooperation of the drivers around you to make it through safely. But when it's on that lap 1 and everyone's checking up, everyone's trying to sneak up the inside of one another and get those cheeky moves done, that can be the make or break. Things like that happen, and people just tap each other ever so slightly and they get sent round. But also just like to mention, as we go side by side here into the turn 10 chicane with Thomas Worm up against Joseph Dimbolo as he tries to make his way onto the top 3 spots. Dimbolo round the outside.
Wow.
And so goes Bauman round the outside. And here comes a few other drivers. Oh my God, Thomas Worm has been absolutely caught out. Into turn 1 we go. Bauman has been caught out himself. Oh, the switchback as one of the drivers there's gone wide. I believe that was Sing and Donk, who unfortunately tried a cheeky move round the outside, but just went a slight touch too deep. And it's caught him napping a little bit. He's down to 9th place now. He's got a tiny bit of overtaking to do left in this race, as Gottestad is just checking out at the front of the field. But what I was going to say was that for anyone wondering what happened to Colby Warren, checking the iRacing chat, he didn't know he was in this race until Dalton Zavadil told him, as that is what happened to Igor Kos. And, well, his frustrating day just got even more frustrating. But yeah, Colby Warren not realizing he was in this race, and unfortunately is now definitely down and out of it.
And Kos is out as well, so we've got, well, one's still going, but yeah, he's not going to get through in the top 6. But yeah, we have got 3 other retirements. There goes Singandog. Singandog, had he pulled off that move, Singandog, it would have been like, not probably the 2 best corners of his career. But I think he got a bit overexcited because he went into that turn 1 so fast and trying to pull off. I think he was on the outside, and it did not work fine. So Dimlo gets past Veloquez. I'm really impressed by how well Michael has done. I mean, he was unlucky, arguably, not to get in the top 12 in Heat 1. He was the best of the rest. But his pace is good as the amateur driver, and he is running in 3rd place. He looks fairly secure, honestly. He's got a nice gap behind him. Tommy Vidal pulled off some very good moves himself to move up into 4th place. He started in 7th. Verm sort of got a little bit pushed out, lost momentum, and he's sort of leading the train all the way back to Matt Strand back in 13th place. So really, I'd argue anyone from 4th down to 13th, and then maybe he's throwing a Colby Warren in there, could still progress into the A final. We've got a wide move there from Singandong, who's again made a mistake, and he's been passed by Adrianson.
Yeah, seeing a lot of big movers already, and Strand and Mikau already up 10 places themselves, but also got some big down movers. Humberstone down 10 places, and of course Kos, well, only down 1 place, but of course should be a lot higher, as that's Jacinto defending from Rudok, I believe, behind. As, yes, you're absolutely right, Clays and Burusek as well, going off at turn 10. At the chicane there. He's had an incident himself, as Hobbs as well, I believe, behind has had a spin at that same chicane as well. And a lot of incidents in this first race, and it just goes to show how much of a tricky car this can be to drive on the edge, as Clays, this is what happened to him as he got tapped from Baumann, from behind. So what Clays did to Kos in the last race, Baumann's just done to him.
Very well identified with the symmetry there. It did not work quite as badly for Clays as it did in the previous race, but that means that he's down to 7th place now. It's the Belgian, and yeah, might be tricky to get back, but Borman has really been in the war's stead. I think this is his first ever ARA race, Borman, and he's certainly made his presence known to the drivers. As the Hatcher has spun, and he collided, I want to say, is that Jamie Edwards? Not entirely sure. No, it's Bramley, apologies. With that distinctive beige livery, which I'm a big fan of. We have a slide for Michaud, but he's going to hold on to that place. There goes Warren, maybe the dark horse. He could still get into the top 6, perhaps. He is one of the few pros who is not currently in the top 6 in this race, but he's got to get past Michaud right away, and he might just struggle to do that. Further back, Strand holding on against Jacinto.
Strand actually briefly looked like he was going to go for the move on Warren there, but I think around the outside he kind of thought the better of it, and is probably going to let Warren get on with his job at hand, which is clawing his way through the field. He did start from the pits, like I mentioned, because he had to miss the start, because he didn't know he was in this race. So that would be some story if Warren could make it through, as just in front of him you can see Walsh and Mikau going side by side for 11th place, as the Frenchman round the outside of Jay Walsh. That was a nice overtake there from Adrian, and he can be happy and have a smile on his face that he made that move, but it's immediately going to turn into a frown as he remembers what slipstream is, as we head onto the back straight, and Jay Walsh as well as Warren is right on his back bumper, technically even inside of it, as Warren gives him a little bit of a love tap going through turn 10, and Warren sneakily uses the slipstream of Mikau to get past Jay Walsh there and put himself into 12th place. Now he needs to get past Adrian himself into 11th, focus on the cars ahead, And like you said, Sam, he really could be a dark horse. If something happens further up the road, as Matt Strand going for a late dive bomb on Jay Walsh, and it works out a treat for him as he's up to 13th now as well. And I think another driver got past Walsh in that process. Jacinto Walsh is having a bit of a mare in this race, just dropping like an absolute fly, as that's another place gone for him, as that is Rudok getting past him now. Jay Walsh going to have to be careful that he doesn't lose a place to Burzeg as well, as well, he would have gone from, what was that, 13th place, 12th place, all the way to 17th in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, not a good race, this one for Walsh as Ruddock. Oh dear, Lord. Ruddock round, representing ADX. Good to see them around. Of course, a prominent team in GT3 Trophy in the past. That starts on Thursday, by the way. Got 60 cars lined up for that one, albeit they will all be on circuit with one another. They do not get divided like in this series. So do make sure to tune in on that. That's on Apex Racing TV. We've got Matteo Jacinto. And he is, well, he's defending, isn't he, against Porsche? He had got that move done, but he's now having to defend. Looking to see at the top 6 places whether there's going to be any changes. Borman actually got past Verm, it looks like. So Borman's up to 5th, Verm down to 6th. Did Verm make a mistake, perhaps? I don't think so. Borman's just been very quick, caught and past Verm, but Verm now in the clutches of Clays. Sing and Donk, when he's not running wide, which we've seen him do most of the time when we've had cameras on him, is very quick and might have the pace, and Agenson is probably the last one with a small chance in 9th place.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Sometimes the gaps just are that little bit too much. Even for some of the quickest drivers, you do have to stand back and just be like, okay, yeah, this is this. Yeah, you're not going to be, you know, whipping out the 911 RSR anytime soon. You're not going to go 5 seconds a lap quicker than the rest of the field. You can try, by all means, but you're probably going to end up crashing the car in the process. So we'll see if anything else happens up at the front of the field, because like I said, it's happened plenty of times in this series in the past where we all think it's all fine and dandy, and then just something erupts at the front of the field, and then chaos ensues as everyone realizes, oh my god, we can make it through, and then that just ensues even more chaos, and then it's just an endless cycle of chaos and crashing. But let's hope that doesn't happen today, and we can all keep it clean and fine and dandy. As Warren there, you saw on your left-hand side of the screen, got up to 10th place, as Strand now doing exactly the same thing to Stoll for 11th place. But Stoll admittedly had quite a nice exit through the first corner, but I think knows that that place is not really going to be up for grabs for him, as Strand now poofs off into the distance, as does Warren. And, well, I kind of feel like that's going to be the end of the Americans' progress, at least for now, unless something happens.
Welcome to everyone in chat, by the way. We really appreciate you engaging and sending us messages. Apologies that we haven't been able to look at too many of them, but it's been a very, very busy day of racing. But do keep the comments coming in and let us know who you are supporting, and thanks to everyone as well who has been subscribing. I didn't see that replay, Aaron. I don't know if you did.
I did, yes. It was Burzeg, what happened to him a few laps ago, and why we saw him drop a few places down at turn 10. It was with Jay Walsh, and unfortunately those two made contact. But it seems like Burzeg has managed to get up to the back of Jay Walsh once again, so they are going to be coming to blows very, very soon, and it's going to be round 2 between the Brit and the Frenchman. And it's not the first, and it won't be the last time that the British and the French go head-to-head against one another. As well, speaking of, Bramley round the outside of Burzeg. And I'm not sure that move was entirely legal, as it was 4 wheels on the grass, but iRacing doesn't have a rule against that, so fair play to Hayden Bramley. He utilised all 4 of his tyres on a bit of the track that I don't think you see many other drivers using. And you can see on board with him here, a slight bit wide, nice car control round the outside, easy as you like. A little bit of dirt on his tyres, but he gained a place from it, so I don't think he'll be complaining.
Sing and Donk has died. We've got Walsh being overtaken by Grand, but they come across Sing and Donk, who's off the circuit. Oh, and Walsh has been hit as well by Burzeg. But yeah, Sing and Donk was battling with Verm, I think. with Clays, and they both lost out. So Verm still in P6, Agerson now up into 7th, the Danish driver, and Clays down into 8th. 3 wide, heading into turn 1, and they all collide on the straights. Walsh did not know he was 3 wide, and fortunately, I think it was Humberston who went straight on, or Burzeg who went straight on. Otherwise, it would have been another bit of contact. But Jay Walsh, he's got barely a car to keep going. Even if he's got a meatball, you may as well continue, not going to get disqualified. But what a messy race it has been for him and Burzeg as well. 2 incidents, including each other.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Jay Walsh's car is reforming back into a Beetle at this point. It's that badly damaged as that. Yep, that's exactly what I was just thinking, especially down there at turn 6. That was not the time or the place to go for that move, really. And this is what happened. This absolutely bizarre. And it was kind of started with Jay Walsh. He just had absolutely no idea that they were 3 wide. Moved over to the right. And you can see this. They were 2 wide with Burseg and Rudok. And Walsh doesn't really realize that they're going 3 wide. Moves over to the right. And that causes a big accident between them all. And yeah, luckily, Burseg managed to go across the grass, like you mentioned, to avoid that. As I think we just saw Jay Walsh spinning once again. So his race really is going from bad to worse. And like I said, his car is definitely looking more like a VW Beetle than a Porsche 911 at this point. As Clay's now fighting with Warren for 8th place as the American. Although it's unlikely that he will make it into the top 6 now, as I believe we are nearing the white flag lap, he can make as much progress as he can, and he's done a damn good job, it must be said, starting from the pits in this race. This could be a potential 8th place, but we all saw what we saw in Heat 2 with Clays and Warren and a couple of other pros. This Belgian driver can be a feisty one, as look at that aggressive defense into turn 6. Warren's surely going to go far too deep into that corner, and he does, as Clays reclaims that place for 8th place, and that's going to be vital points for him in the AM Championship as well. Well, speaking of the AMs, Velasquez up into 3rd. Amazing job by him, but Godestad, take it away, Sam. It's been a brilliant drive from him.
Yeah, he will be the first to get through. He will start in 25th place in the A final, where he did absolutely everything he could do there. Dimbolo gets through. Velasquez, what a performance from him, gets through as an AM driver. Dow, Borman and Verm all get through, but Agerson loses out. Who is going to get 8th place? It looks like Clays might just hold on here. He does, by the thinnest of margins. I mean, a thousandth of a second on our screen. I'm hesitant to even call it right now because there could still be a small change. But that was as close as it could go. Clays had the longer runs to the line, but he had his nose far enough ahead going.
Well, iRacing is saying it was 0.002 of a second, and well, I believe it. That was extremely close between those two. And well, Clay seems to be one of the most hard-fought drivers in this entire series, and he could potentially be one of the drivers to watch in terms of entertainment value for the rest of this season, because, I mean, wow, he provided some amazing action in all of the races he competed in. So keep an eye on that Belgium heading over the next however many rounds we've got left. And, well, I mean, who knows? He could be a contender for that championship, as he was, I believe, the 2nd highest AM scorer today, potentially. So well done from him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we had any other AMs get into the A final. But yeah, if we only have the one, then yeah, he will be the 2nd highest scorer. So good work from him as we go into a nice cool down or warm up 3-minute session until we get into the A final. And the drivers can start to have a think about what they're going to come the race. Shout out to the top sponsor, of course, for this series, Apex Racing Academy. All the drivers in this series do get a 1-month free subscription for Apex Racing Academy, and you can get a subscription as well. Head over to apexracingac.com. You can also sign up for the Daytona 24 offer we've got, where we're offering all of the GTP setups and track guides for free for Daytona 24. So if you're racing the GTPs, that is a really good offer to take advantage of. It's completely free. All you need to do is head over to apexracingac.com, click on the Daytona 24 offer, and then put in your email, and you will be sent all of those setups that you need for the race. So do check that out, and of course check out the other subscriptions as well, Apex Racing Academy offer. But yeah, heading into this A final now, Aaron, and it's always a fun one when we see the drivers winning from the heats. Looks so impressive, but it comes down to the A final, and we, you know, in the end, there can only be one winner. But I'd say both our race winners earlier on, Zavadil and Lazarus, looked really, really impressive, and I'm not entirely sure who's going to get the better in this first A final of the season.
No, I don't really know either, but it definitely looked like that Zavadil had his launch absolutely marked to a T, as he just shot away from the rest of the grid in his heat race. So I'm expecting him to definitely at least give Lazarus a bit of a scare going into the first corner. As to be fair, apart from this series, not many other iRacing series do a standing start.
No.
It's kind of Formula cars and maybe a few others, and that's it.
Do standing starts? Like that's it's a good point, but like yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that these drivers definitely are not used to. I mean, I do the radicals every single week, so they of course do standing starts, but again, it's mainly just Formula cars. You don't see any GTs, no prototypes, nothing, because I mean, to be fair, watching those cars try to launch would be hilarious, especially the GTPs, because they would just wheel spin completely off the line. There's no hope of getting those things launched properly, I don't think. But these cars, I think you can just about get away with it. And we do see a lot of differing performances sometimes, because if you get this car's launch wrong, it goes catastrophically wrong. Like, you are either bogging down and you will fall right to the back, or you're wheel spinning and crashing into half the grid. You have to nail it. And that's why some of the drivers up at the top are genuinely practicing. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of them are using this warm-up session to maybe practice their start. It's just one of those things that you don't think about often, but then you get into a race and then remember, oh my God, I need to clutch in. Oh God, what do I do? You just have to make sure that every single part of your craft is honed in, and that's what the top drivers always seem to do.
Yeah, this is a crucial start, and overtaking may well be tricky at the start, or after the start takes place, so really crucial launch. It's Lazarus on pole, alongside Zavadil, then it's Costa and Hammer. Despotakis in 5th place, Saboda, highest place Pro-Am, then it's Hemming, Porto, Ruiz, Pedersen and Lani rounds at the top 10. Good opportunity for the Pro-Am runner-up from last season to have a good result. I'll let the rest of the field go through for you. We've actually got 3 AMs in this race. So Sequeira managed to get through from his heat, Grieveson got through from his heat, and then we had Velasquez get through very impressively, the Philippine driver to get through, and it's our biggest grid as well of the evening. 30 cars on the grid, and everyone is on the grid. So the engines are being revved, and we are about to get underway for the first A final of the season. And it looks like it's a good start for Lazarus. Maybe slightly better for Zavadil, but he's not going to be able to launch at him into turn 1. Trying to get the draft into turn 1 and get him offline at the very least. Costa having to settle for 3rd position. They may need single file for the top 8 positions or so. Good start for Ben Pedersen. He's up a couple. Hemming is down 3, so disappointing start for the man who started in P8. Already there into single file through turn 3. And Lazarus not making a break for it at the moment as we watch back at Hemming getting back past Salvatore Lani.
Honestly, heading through that uphill crest into turns 2 and 3 on the first lap, especially in the Porsche Cups here at Road Atlanta. And that is Piccolo, unfortunately, at the side of the track, and he's stopped. But yeah, going up that hill crest on this first lap in Porsche Cup cars is probably the closest thing you are ever going to feel to being in a horror movie in real life. It's absolutely terrifying, especially when you're going side by side with a lot of other cars. But luckily everyone managed to get through mostly cleanly on this occasion. And we're going to be watching plenty of drivers in this race. We're going to be watching the top drivers, of course. Like we mentioned, Lazarus and Zavadil, Costa, Hammer, all looking extremely quick. The mid-pack, all of the Pro-Ams looking very, very racy. And then at the back, some drivers coming through the field. Bit of contact there between Baumann and James Parker. Dimbolo already up 3 places, now up to 4 as Goddestead up 6 places as well. And that's contact at the final corner between Verm and Vidal. And they have to be careful, as I think everyone else has actually... well, there's no one else for them to be careful about. But that was, I think, just slight contact there at the final corner between those guys. And I think we're going side by side once again through the SS section. Not the smartest thing to do in the mid-pack of the field, but everyone's making it through cleanly, never mind. And that's another driver off into the kitty litter down there at turn 5.
Yeah, so Crow, one of our 3 AMs who managed to get into the A5, and that means that Adam Greason now has a huge lead out of the amateur drivers. Now, the drivers do score points for their overall position, not their class position, so Greason's being benefited. Exactly. Greason's really being rewarded for a very strong result. He's not just going to get a couple more points than Velasquez right now. He's second place in the AMs. He's going to get about 10 more points than him because he's so many positions ahead. Pedersen's got past Sabota up into P6, so Pedersen, after an underwhelming qualifying, I think earlier on, has had much better race pace, and there was Del Piccolo. And I think after he found himself so far off the pack, he decided to call it a day. He gets decent points for 30th in this A final, but not as many as he would have been hoping for earlier on. And then that was the contact, and it was the driver going off the circuit in the first place, wasn't it? And then, well, was it Sequoia not leaving enough space? I don't know. That's for the stewards, I guess. Oh, Sabota's gone off. Sorry.
Oh, yes. And a lot of things happening. Well,
and the leader's wide as well.
Zavadil, I mean, for the first... he managed to get into the lead somehow while we were watching those replays. And then we just witnessed him lose it again at turn 5 there. And the back of Lazarus's car not looking too healthy. A little bit of an indent in his rear light strip. As I think there's been contact behind once again. Bernier's losing places. It's absolute bedlam in this A final. We're only 3 minutes in.
Yeah, can we see
We've still got
please?
Another...
Because it's absolute chaos behind them. Like
oh my god!
Further back.
I just seen that. Yes, you're absolutely right, Sam. I would love to see that further back.
At the moment, going into the chicane. Let's see if they can get through. Oh, there they are.
Oh my god!
So at the head of all of that, I think Nolda may have got through pretty well. Yeah, Farrier's at the front of it. They're still batting behind. None of them seemingly made contact. Wide for Andrews. And then going back onto the circuit. That was Belvis, apologies, who was the one off the circuit. This Andrews trying to get underneath him now. His teammate Hemming a couple of places ahead. And that went really, really well because there was a bit of contact. You noticed it with Bernier spinning on the corner before the back straight, and I think because of the contact between him and Goddestad, it caused the group behind them all to catch up, and they ended up on the same bit of real estate. And here they were all charging down into the chicane, and really good job, 3 by 3 to get through this.
Yeah, I didn't know it was rush hour because, I mean, this is incredible. How on earth they all managed to go into that sequence of corners and make it through the other side. Not only cleanly, but smiling. That was beautiful racecraft from all of those guys. And like you said, Nold making his way through sneakily into 11th place as well. That was some textbook racecraft from those guys as we jump back up to the front of the field. As Nold now getting past Farrier for 10th place. He's really putting his paces through his Porsche 911 Cup car. And Lazarus and co are all doing exactly the same. They're all hounding the leader, just honestly surrounding his rearview mirrors, not giving him an inch to breathe at all. You've got to stay on your toes constantly when you're at a top level like this. You cannot afford to lose concentration for even a moment. You've got to make sure your surroundings are in check. You just need to stay on top of your game. And this is what happened to Zavadil. Just went ever so slightly too aggressive into turn 5. And it's not like we haven't seen that before. We've seen plenty of drivers make that mistake. But the difference is Zavadil was able to keep it on dead straight. And all it lost was just a single place. Not hitting a wall like Jay Walsh did, I think it was a race ago, as Bernier now trying to make progress of his own into 21st place after his incident just a few laps ago. But there is so much happening in this opening A final race here at Road Atlanta. It's, I mean, I know it gets memed a lot, but SkyQ could really come in handy right now. I need multiple views.
Yes, I don't think we could see a replay as well of how Zavadil got ahead of Lazarus in the first place, because we saw Lazarus getting back, but Zavadil got ahead as well before. By the way, leader of the Prams at the moment is Salvatore Lane, who's doing really, really well. Is Lane runner-up last season in the Prams, just about missed out on the title, but looking to claim it this time. Driver back in season 1 of ARA Porsche Cup, proper veteran. Then took a mini season break, but back, and it's very good to see him back. Norda's got ahead of Porter Ruiz, who's 3rd place out of the Prams. Gordon Marshall's a little bit, not far ahead of these guys whatsoever. He's sort of at the head of this train. Then it goes all the way back to Joseph Dimbolo, who we haven't really had a chance to talk about too much so far, Dimbolo, but he is up 10 places from his race start. One of the drivers who got knocked out, I think, in the Heat 2 Turn 1 incident, which took out about 5 of the pro drivers. There goes a dive from Godestad, who lost out a few places at this corner earlier on. He's going to have to settle in behind and might actually be vulnerable now from the bit behind.
There's so many drivers getting their elbows out today, and especially in this A final race, we're really seeing drivers getting aggressive and getting very impatient as well. As Godestad now in the midst of this battle as we head into the last chicane. Again, it looks like there's a bit of contact between those two, and that was Dimbolo, who now makes his way past Andrews as well. And well, these two have been following each other, not just in this race, but have been following each other since basically Heat 2 at this point. And we can get a replay of how Zavadil initially managed to get into the lead of the race. As I believe we were watching replays at the time. Let's see how the fiercely forward driver managed to do it. Very wide there from Lazarus, and honestly lucky that he managed to hold on to 2nd place. Philip Hammer was looking briefly for a move there, but I think these drivers are very experienced. They know the risks of trying to go for a dive bomb up into turns 2 and 3, and luckily Philip Hammer didn't go for it at that time, and Lazarus managed to hold on to 2nd place, and because of that managed to hold on to the lead when Zavadil went off again. But Zavadil is gaining very, very quickly, but I think he's biding his time at the moment and waiting for those final few laps.
Yeah, trying to keep those tyres nice and cool to yield him the most amount of grip, as there's a bit of movement between Norda and Marshall. Marshall momentarily ahead, and here comes Porter Ruiz underneath. He was overtaken by Norda a couple of laps ago, as there's been a change for the lead as well. Costa now leads, and Lazarus is down to 6th position, and we'll try to get a replay of that one shortly. But that's a major change of the place driver in 3rd place moving up. Ruiz did manage to get past Marshall. Look at the damage on Lazarus's car, and a race which it looked like he was going to win is one that he's probably not even going to finish in the top 25 in now. He's going to need to take repairs with that absolutely broken Porsche 992.
Well, yeah, he's just reverted it to a normal 911 now. He's completely stripped it of its aerodynamic properties, and oh dearie me,
That's
oh my God,
it could have been
so
netcode, to be fair, because Lazarus is based down under, but that looks like a huge misjudgment there from Zavadil.
Yeah, to me that didn't look like netcode, but whoever that blue car was, extremely lucky there. Let's take another look at it. Lazarus moves over to the right, and oh dear, that Zavadil, that is quite bad, I have to admit. That is not netcode. That's a huge misjudgment by Dalton Zavadil, and wow, that's a really, really poor misjudgment from a driver so experienced. Admittedly, let's say from an onboard perspective, and I guess from an onboard point of view, it looks less bad than the outboard. It doesn't look as aggressive, but even then, oh, that's heartbreaking for Corey Lazarus as he comes into the pits. And like you said, he's not going to be scoring any decent points now in this A final. But I guess the only consolation that he can take away from this is that he knows he has the pace to compete for the rest of the season. And I guess that's kind of what you want as a driver coming away from the first round.
Yeah, I think that's you got some points to offer for the heat. So this was how Costa managed to take the lead. So Costa is now the race leader, and he was able to just take the racing line through all of this and managed to take the lead. Absolutely kept it pinned, and he got through. At the moment, live, we've got Ruiz and Farrier and Hemming alongside heading into the chicane. Who's going to win out on this one? Super close battling. Norda got ahead of Marshall. Further up, Farrier deep into the corner, and that will leave him very vulnerable on the corner exit. You can see Godestad has managed to get himself from the tail of this group into the belly of it now, and he's got ahead of Felvis. Dimbolo trying to go with him, and Jews is involved in this one. Sabota is there as well, and Norda able to escape slightly from this pack, as well as Marshall as well. It's now Farrier sorts of leading the main pack ahead of Ruiz, and we look back now at Hemming behind us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, honestly, I'm thinking back to whoever that blue car was, I believe. Oh, and there is Zavadil trying to go for a move for the lead of the race once again. Pascal Costa, I think, caught napping there as we headed into the middle part of the lap. Now they have to be careful not to make contact as they go side by side. This actually puts Philip Hammer in a really nice place to try and tuck into the slipstream. Is he going to give...
Teammate.
Yes, I was just
well,
about
his
to
former
say...
teammate, sorry. He's not trying to impulse anymore, but former teammates.
Yes, giving his former teammate a helping hand there. Into turn 10 we go, and that's going to allow Pascal Costa to keep the lead of this race for now. But going back to what I was going to say, that blue car just behind Philip Hammer of Despotakis, I honestly need to check his pants after that because they are not clean. I honestly, having a New Zealander fly across your screen at Mach 3 by the looks of it, I don't know how he managed to survive that, but iRacing Netcode was paying him a good visit on today's racing session as Godesad up the inside of Hemming into 11th place. This midfield battle seems to be going on all the way until the end, and that's exactly what we want. It's pretty much from Nold all the way down to about Zavob. I cannot speak. I do apologise. 16th.
The V.
I cannot speak. Sabota. 16th. There we go. Got it out in the end. To 16th. So it's a very, very close battle. Only separated by about 3 seconds, as that is Felvers getting very, very wriggly on the exit of turn 6. And, well, Dimbolo having to slow down there. Awkwardly enough. Where would he
slow down to serve?
Yeah, awkward where he might have picked up a slowdown from, but clearly he has. And that has put him on a bit of a back foot, and, well, it's just dragged him away from this battle, unfortunately.
I'm not sure what's going on there because he's dropping even more time. Here comes Bernier. I can't even remember what happened to Bernier at the start of this race, but it's not been a good one for him. Didn't qualify especially well, but down 5 places from his race start, but at least he's got past Kane Crawford now. Still got Greason, leader of the AS, but he's not that far ahead of Velasquez now. Velasquez arguably has been the fastest driver, but he was in Heat 1, which was a fairly calm affair. Heat 2 was very chaotic. And Zavadil is round, and oh wow, that is a big crash, and he has been involved with Pedersen. Yeah, Pedersen. The walk racing driver, Pedersen, was going very slowly as well. Zavadil will be able to continue on, but his penalty is probably the least of his worries. He was guaranteed to probably get a 30-second post-race penalty for the incident earlier on, but he's going to be very near the back anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that is very shocking. Again, Zavadil has had an absolute mare of an A final. Of course, that big mistake with Lazarus. As Lane now He's in 4th place as a Pro-Am. And I think this was all by himself, and then Pedersen might have been the driver that came through and hit him. As we can see that, yes.
Yeah, unlucky.
That was very, very unlucky for Ben Pedersen. And Zavadil, that's the second time he's made that mistake in this race alone. And, well, the first time he was able to catch it, this time he wasn't. And Ben Pedersen, nowhere he could go, really. That's just unfortunate for him. And luckily didn't actually lose that much time. He's still in 4th, actually, but has lost about 3 seconds because of that, as Despotakis is now in 2nd place ahead of Philip Hammer. And that's really shaken things up. Perhaps he managed to get past, whilst Philip Hammer might have had to check up during that Dalton Zavadil incident. And I believe I am correct, as heading onto the back straight, Despotakis managed to get the run on him and seems to be going around the outside into turn 10. And Hammer didn't really look like he was going to fight that one too much and just sat back into 3rd. He's probably seen all the chaos happening around him in today's race and thinks, yeah, I'm okay. I think I'll just finish in 3rd, thanks. I'll take the decent points haul from today's race, as Gordon Marshall now trying to overtake Nold into 6th place. He goes, the Scotsman, trying to desperately hold on to some points to keep his gap to Lane short and sweet, as Ruiz now, I believe, went off the track at that last chicane as well. Honestly, it really is just such a pain to keep up with everything, as now we are on the white flag on this A final, lap 14, and these drivers can finally just get towards the end of this race. It's been a tough one for all of them, I think. It just does not look easy for anyone out there. It's an absolute just wreckfest. That's all. Yeah, you get the idea.
Yes, amazingly only one retiree. We had Del Piccolo retire earlier on, but everyone else is continuing on. 3 drivers have had to come in for repairs, and the rest have continued on. And in a race with so many new drivers, really 6 of the top 7 really experienced drivers. Despotakis, very much the odd one out on his debut, but everyone else absolute veterans when it comes to this series. And this veteran, who I believe is yet to take an overall title to his name, looking to correct that for this season. He's going to start it in the perfect way, and it's Pascal Costa for Impulse Racing, who takes the first A final victory of Season 12 in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup. Despotakis on debut finishes 2nd, former champion Hammer finishes in 3rd. Then it's Pedersen, Lane, Marshall, Nolder with a good recovery to 7th. Farrier, Godestad. Top of the Pro-Ams, of course, was Lane. We've still got Batsing rights at the end. These guys can afford to make contact. They'll still get to the line. Grieveson across the line. And he lost out to both Velasquez and Coke. So Velasquez wins in the AMs, despite being way behind Grieveson earlier on. You can see the bit of damage that Grieveson had on his car, and running wide at the last corner cost him those last 2 places.
It just didn't seem to stop from start to finish. It was just more and more and more, and things just kept happening up and down the order. And, well, what an opening statement for this series. And this is kind of what we get most of the time in Porsche Cup. There's always just an absolutely insane first round. And today was no different, as Grieveson there. Really hard done by the end. I don't really think that was too much of his fault. Nice cheeky spin at the end, though. That was very, very, very stylish, and Tony Hawk would be proud had the point system been in this game. But, yeah, it was a fantastic race, but it just showed, like you said, Sam, that a lot of our experienced drivers just struggled in this race. Drivers like Savadil, a couple of others that we saw in that second heat, in the consolation race as well. It was just a difficult day. I don't think anyone could say that they had it easy at all.
No, yeah, it was really, really demanding. Bjorkland burning it out on the track, and we will have a look at our final results then before we have a chat, hopefully, with a couple of our drivers who will hopefully be joining us for an interview. Yeah, really good result there for Pascal Costa, scoring not maximum points tonight. Of course, he didn't win his heat, but still second place in the heat and winner of the A final. I think it puts him on 125 points out of 130. So nice start for him. Despotakis as well, good for him. Good to see the Greece being place, looking for a second ARA Porsche Cup title. Pedersen in fourth, and then of course it was Lane top of the Pro-Ams. I won't go through all the names, but I will point out Velasquez, who got through from the B final, finishing 17th place, winner of the Amjaz, up 10 places from his race start. We don't have any interviews with drivers at the moment. No one's come and joined us quite yet, but I can say next week we are heading to Laguna Seca, a circuit that I cannot remember this series actually ever visiting, despite the fact that it's a free track. But it's just not one that the Porsche Cup community usually vote for, but it is around for next week.
I definitely like it when some series just take a bit of a different approach to some seasons, like what the Radical Esports Cup has done this season as well. And by the way, you can watch that here on Apex Racing TV every single Friday at 21 GMT if you are interested. And you can also compete in that race, so come along and join us for that. But what they've done in that series is they have chosen tracks that they know that they are completely uncomfortable with. I mean, this week we had Snetterton. I don't see Snetterton getting used on iRacing at all, really. Not in proper racing series anyway. You kind of see it in the Rookies and D series, but Snetterton doesn't get used too often. We're heading to Long Beach as well. Nice. We're heading to a lot of different tracks in that series, and I really like that we're shaking things up. And I kind of like that I think a lot of other series are doing the same, because oftentimes in iRacing, the same tracks get picked, like Spa, Sebring, Road America, Road Atlanta, Daytona, and it's just like, let's shake it up every once in a while. Let's go to, I don't know, just some random track that doesn't get used at all on iRacing. Like, I'm going to try and think of one right now, and I don't know. Let's say Winton. That is a good point, as our producer just said, Winton. Why not? Let's just go to a random track. It throws a spanner in the works. It actually shows who is the better drivers, because they can turn up to a track they're unfamiliar with and just bang in the lap, bang in some good racing. And that's what we've seen so far in the Radical series, and I would love to see that more in the Porsche Cups.
Yeah, it's good to mix it up, and I know like the IMSA community have got rid of voting when it comes to their tracks. Instead, just leave it to a community person or to iRacing to sort it out, and I think that is the way to go. So we get variety of tracks, and people like you and me, Aaron, who have wasted our money buying all the circuits, actually get our money's worth as well. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no interviews with any judges. I didn't notify the judges, to be fair, that they could have an interview, but hopefully we will get a few more next week. But a reminder, of course, for all the other series that are coming up on Apex Racing TV, because on Thursday, that's the one that I'm at least really looking forward to, because it is the return of Apex Racing League GT3 Trophy. That'll be from the ARA TV esports studio with myself and David Sampson. Of course, like Aaron was saying earlier on, we've got Radicals on Friday, so make sure to tune in for that, and loads of other series as well. This is a really busy time of the year for Apex Racing TV, with lots of winter series in progress. We've got Mazdas with the BRS DC. I think we've still got a few more rounds of the European Sports Car series as well, and lots of other stuff. So subscribe to the channel and check out the social media as well for Apex Racing TV and Apex Racing League and Apex Racing Academy as well, whilst you are at it as well. And of course, big thanks to Apex Racing Academy for sponsoring this series. Check out them at apexracingac.com. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith and from Josh Wilkie, we will say goodbye, and we will see you back in 1 week's time for round 2 of the season at Laguna Seca. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.